Welcome to Family Meeting, the podcast where we get shit done. I'm Andrew.
And I'm fixing my hair.
Ooh.
There we go. Beautiful.
So, just to start, I'm kind of proud of us
Why?
because it's always been my goal to get stuff done during the week, which we did this week.
That is so true. I didn't even think about that this week.
And we had quite a weekend.
We
I'm
did. We're exhausted.
I didn't realize that it was a double-edged sword getting to do a bunch of things. I'm like ran into the ground. I'm not even bothering looking good for this. I'm in my crunch gym t-shirt and my hair's all fucked up.
Done up in the face. Just because I'm wearing lipstick, I think, that I've been on the podcast this whole time.
Kind of switching roles here. But yeah, I'm a little frazzled today. But we're still doing it.
I know. Yeah. So today, I mean, this is Sunday, so it's National Beer Day. So we're partaking in National Beer Day.
You make sure you hear that on the podcast.
It's not fully. That was real.
Oh, it's good though. It's Modelo Especial.
Not sponsored.
No, not sponsored content. If they want to give us money, please go ahead. It's one half of a michelada. That's how I look at it.
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna get micheladas, but that would have been too much.
That's good.
We just had vegan ice cream. So I just wanted to start off by saying we're proud.
No, I'm really proud of that. That's like a big thing.
I know.
That's a really big thing.
Did laundry on Thursday.
Yep.
This is us being efficient and productive.
Mm-hmm.
Now I just want to nap.
I want to nap too, so hard.
I just want to go to bed. It's like 5:30.
You know what? I know it's 5:30, and normally we do this in the morning.
Yeah, but
I had a really rough morning. I had a really bad migraine today. I went to bed with a migraine and just kind of hoped I'd sleep it off, and it was worse waking up. But luckily, my migraines sometimes can be cured with Excedrin. And this one was, so I felt really good about that. But it's just like to take an Excedrin at like 10 o'clock at night is because there's caffeine in it. But anyway, it was good.
Oh, so before we start on today's topic, I have to make a correction.
Okay.
Was it last week's episode?
I think it was. No, because I don't know. Maybe it's whatever. But one of our previous episodes needs a correction.
So there's 2 corrections.
2?
Yes.
Oh, shit.
One of which I don't think really counts because I genuinely well, I guess they both don't really count because I genuinely didn't know about either. But when I said that, I think it was last week, we talked about my surgery and how we didn't sue. And I was really sad about that. Turns out my mom did try and sue the hospital, but for some reason, no lawyers. This is what she said. No lawyers would take the case. So I've been under the assumption, but I wasn't told
right. Yeah.
So it's not my fault.
So it's it's what is it called when like someone writes in and asks for a
correction?
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
I was gonna say redaction, but no, like an editor's
correction? Editor's edit? I think so.
I don't know. There's something, I think.
It's like I wrote the Wikipedia entry on this and my mom came in and she came in and suggested some corrections.
Okay, sure.
But yeah, so we got a correction. So it's good to know my mom's listening. Yeah. Thanks, Mom.
Yeah.
Hi, Mom. I gotta stop cussing. I've already said the F word once on the show. Oh man. Now she's not gonna like you. Also, apparently when I asked if I was adopted, I was 7 years old, and they did tell me then. But I don't remember that because I was 7 years old.
Oh, okay.
Because I was like watching TV, something prompted me to turn around and ask. And
I forget how old you said you were.
I forget too. Maybe I didn't say how old I was, but they definitely, I guess, told me then. And I did not retain it. And so even when I turned 11, I was still surprised when my mom told me.
Reminded you.
Yeah, she was like, hey, by the way. So those are the 2 corrections, and they're both mine. So apparently you're perfect. I'm
I just
the black sheep of the family.
That, or I just don't think my family listens.
Oh, that's true. They probably don't even. Your parents don't even know what a podcast is. So I just wanted to start off with that. So sorry for getting it wrong, Mom. I love you. All right.
She loves you too.
So
this week we thought we'd talk about big decisions and just like a general like blank of decisions, how we've come to them, and we've kind of just like mapped out 5 little areas of big decisions that we've made that we can talk about and kind of how we came to that decision.
I think this is a good topic to talk about. Wow, I'm a
We're
mess
doing great.
today.
We're doing great.
No, I just want to say before we began that I think this is a good topic to talk about because I think a lot of people listening, especially like if you're new to a relationship or maybe you haven't like reached this cross this bridge yet with your significant other, but making giant decisions together is more daunting than you might think. Like there's not a lot that goes into it, but you both have to be like on the same page. Like we'll go over it, but I think this is good for people to kind of, see how we do it because we've made some of the most major decisions.
Yeah. So obviously, I mean, we're gonna kind of gloss over this one, but the decision to get married.
Yeah.
Like that's like a personal decision that you have to make, whether or not you want to get married, and that's a decision that we made, like individually when we were together, if that makes sense. So like when we first got together, we didn't want to get married. So we thought that could be a whole episode on its own of
so we won't worry about that one.
But. So we're kind of cutting that one out. So don't be like,
our marriage
we just
doesn't
thought,
count this episode.
But don't think that like it was just like that we've always known that we were going to marry each other thing, because we're not talking about it on this episode. But it's so big that we're going to talk about it on its own episode.
Yeah.
So I wanted to get that out of the way.
Nice.
So the first one, we're going kind of like, or I kind of wrote them mildly in chronological order, or just kind of like fun order, I guess. Or I guess it's not really in chronological order. But the first one I wrote down was moving in together.
Yeah.
So we started dating right after college graduation.
Like the day after.
Yeah. So we graduated on February 12th and we made it official on February 13th. And we were living together. We didn't have a place of our own together, but we were living together by May.
Yep. Now, this is when, just correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm trying to remember these details too, because this was a very scrunched timeline. This is when you came and lived with me at my place, right? Yeah.
Yes,
okay, so that was in May. Yeah. So we had a few months apart.
Right. So,
haven't had any privacy since.
so let's just go to like the beginning of our relationship. We had been friends for a long time, and so we knew each other, and there wasn't like the not knowing each other like dating period. We didn't have that. So like once we were in a relationship, it was kind of like we were in a relationship. So I don't know. I just wanted to like clarify that part, that we didn't have like those months of like getting to know each other, like when is your birthday, like type beginnings. So I had a really nice place when we first got together. I was living in a townhome, not in the best area, but the actual structure was awesome. Very nice. I was
a big fan of your place.
So mad that I left. But you were there like 80% of the time anyway.
Yeah.
I mean,
I had
like
to park in your seedy neighborhood and walk to your place, thinking I was going to get stabbed every night.
Yeah. I would watch you though from the window to make sure that you wouldn't get stabbed.
Gosh, I'm so scared of that neighborhood.
I know. Well, you're big, strong man.
Yeah.
So I mean, it was pretty much like we were living together. I never really stayed at your place though. You always come to my place.
Really possible. You had a room of your own at your place. I shared a room with Kevin, my friend Kevin. And so that was,
and then you had another roommate
in the second bedroom.
Tyler. Yeah. So, and you had 2 beds, 1 bath. I had 2 beds, 2.5 bath.
You live in the Highlands.
I live in the Highlands.
By these like today's standards, if
oh
you
my
had
gosh,
that
I was paying $1,400 a month for 2 beds, 2.5 bath, and it was gorgeous. Like the only thing that it didn't have was laundry in unit. It had laundry on site.
Yeah.
But there was a pool. It was
a little patio area.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so mad. So mad. But it turned out like my living situation turned out not to be like the best. So my roommate wanted to split everything down the middle, which makes sense. We each had our own bathroom. We each had our own bedroom. But, I was just out of college and I didn't have a job. And I I didn't have a job, and he wanted cable. He wanted like the fastest internet. He wanted like the AC at 65, like all of these things that were like racking up all of the bills. And $700, because we split the rent, $700 was at the top of my, what I could afford. And trying to find a job that would cover that wasn't working at all. So I ended up getting a job that would have covered it, but just the whole living situation, it was just really awkward and very, it's hard to, it was just a bad living situation. So I had to get out.
If we had both had jobs earlier, I would have just come in and be like,
you leave.
You leave. That would be great. But yeah.
Or you could have just moved in. But
Sure.
Your lease wasn't up yet, I don't think.
It was not.
So what ended up happening was I ended up putting all of my stuff into storage because I had a lot of furniture. Putting all my stuff into storage and then moving in with you and Kevin.
Yeah.
And Tyler, but in the room with you and Kevin. And we shared this tiny little $50 IKEA twin. No.
Was it a twin?
Was it a twin? Is that what they're called? The tiny little ones?
Full? I think it was
no, full is full.
Okay, well.
So it's twin, like the little one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a full. So we shared that for a couple months before we could.
People, so it should fit two people comfortably.
No. So yeah, we shared that for a month before we could, or maybe not a full month, but a while before I could.
I think it was a while.
Because we moved in June.
Did we?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, nice. My memory is going away.
Yeah.
It's the first thing.
Do you remember how we got to the decision to actually move in together?
I feel like it was a pragmatic. I was like, well, why don't you just come stay with me? I like you. Like I didn't I offer? I feel like I offered.
I feel like you offered. So this is something that I'm a little.
You're not the kind of person I think who would just like, I don't know.
Let's move in together.
Insert yourself into someone's life like that.
Yeah.
You'd sooner suggest getting your own place with somebody. But yeah, so I think I just told you to come in and Kevin was like, okay.
Yeah. So that decision was hard for me to give up a great place, but I literally could not afford it anymore. So I'm not going
to have a hobo girlfriend.
Yeah. So I feel like it was just one of those decisions that was kind of like a necessary one that I couldn't afford it. And I literally had nowhere else to go.
I do think that, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't know. I feel like it endeared you to me a little bit more too, because I offered to like take care of you and put you up until we can find a place.
Yeah.
I'm just happy that it all worked out. People usually who move in like this so fast.
So that's funny that you're saying this. That's funny that you're saying this because I remember my cousin Jennifer telling my mom that she didn't think that was a good idea. That like we moved in together so soon.
Is this cousin Jennifer that we're gonna see?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think it was cousin Jennifer. So just saying like, that just to be wary of like moving in with someone that you're dating so soon, or just even moving in with someone that you're dating.
That's funny.
But it's funny because I feel like by that point,
she's not wrong.
No, it's not wrong. Right. No. And I think because what, February, March, April, and then May. So it wasn't even all the way into May that we had. So we were together for 3.5 months before we like moved in together. And then we got an apartment together like 4 months in.
Yeah.
Like that's huge. Signing a lease with someone like 4 months like in a relationship, that's really big.
The best apartment ever.
Oh yeah. But no, I totally get it. I think if I had a friend that were to do that, I would be like, whoa, slow down. But obviously for some reason it felt so right for us.
Well, I already knew that I was in love with you because if you remember, I had told you I loved you in your $1,400 apartment bed.
Hey, we got dogs barking.
Oh, they don't like that.
No.
I think they get jealous of either of us. There's also people in our pool. Quiet. So yeah, I think so I knew I was confident, but it's not like we also advertise that we were in love.
That's true.
So
That's
people,
true.
I think, were like,
What the hell?
okay. And it did feel
I feel like
kinda
people were
bad when-
still, I mean, our very close friends knew that we were dating.
Yeah.
But I also feel like people really didn't know, like, big wise, like big
how
wise,
serious
like,
it was.
well, not even how serious it was, but like people that were not really close friends with, like, didn't really even realize that we were dating
Oh, that's true.
until we were living together, and they're like,
What?
yeah. But I was always saying, like, I don't recommend moving in with someone
No, it's a dumb
at
decision
least
in
before
general.
6 months of being together. Like, we have a couple of friends that have been together for 7 years that just moved in together
They
for the
did
first
right.
time.
But no, I mean,
every relationship is different for
exactly.
sure. But that was definitely like a more
It needed. I mean, you
not
needed
spur of the
something.
moment. I mean, it was spur of the moment in that, like, I needed a place to stay, but it's like there were other options almost. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I could have couch surfed for a while. I could,
I made it easy on you.
You did. Thank you.
But no, I think, and there was a sense of, I don't know, not desperation, but necessity to it.
Yeah.
Made us kind of sit back and evaluate it.
Mhm.
Luckily, we got to know each other and we're not such bad roommates. So we got lucky there.
Yeah. Living out of a suitcase is hard, though.
It is.
All right. So the next one I have on the list is jobs.
Oh, yeah.
So
let me start because so I worked at a wholesale light up toy company, e-commerce wholesale light up toy company, for about 6 years. And it was, one of those places where I got to know a lot of people, and it just became like a very familial atmosphere. Like everyone was like, we're just all friends, and it was.
And that was your first.
It was my first job.
Major job out of college.
Yeah, and so that was like I got lucky there. Like I could have, it was a very rare opportunity that I got to at the time make as much as I did. Like just right out of college and like actually have a start a career. And so at one point, I kind of just realized I couldn't go any further. And there was a couple of years where I was like, I think I'm going to like quit, and like move on. I think it's time, but I just like couldn't muster up the.
Well, you were also creating little things for you to do within the job that made you kind of want to stay. So it's like at one point you were doing commercials for them. And then at another point you started doing social media. Like, so there was a little saving graces that every year would make you stay, and not a little bit longer and a little bit longer.
I got a little bit more experience here and there, but I think it just kind of reached a tipping point after certain like, I guess, jobs were being added, and some people were joining the company and certain responsibilities were changing. So I thought it was time to move on, and there was nowhere for me to go. It's not like I could
within the company.
I couldn't like advance my position. And so we had talked about it together here and there for a while, and you've always been pretty supportive whenever I changed jobs, which is nice because a lot of people in a relationship might freak out if someone's like, I'm gonna quit my job. Like, what? I was always responsible and had something lined up.
No, don't get me wrong. I am always like, you want to quit your job? What? But I come from the standpoint of you want to quit your job because you have something else lined up.
Yeah.
I am so for that. Until we have like a, much larger reserve. Not that we don't have a very large savings account. We have a good savings account, especially for people our age. But I don't feel comfortable letting it get down, lower than it is.
That pretty quickly for someone who doesn't have a job.
So.
Yeah, and so, and I guess it was one of those things where, you're somewhere for 6 years, and it's daunting to move on, but
it's hard because you're comfortable.
I was very comfortable. I was the most comfortable. Like, it's kind of it's a job that I'll probably never like. It's in I guess atmosphere I'll never get again with some of the people that I worked with, because we were very, it was very mom and pop run. And so a lot of the things like, if someone were to just walk into that office one day and just hear us off like the cuff, I don't know if it would fly today. It was a very relaxed, fun atmosphere. Everyone was always on the same page. And so for that reason, it was hard to leave because, the next job I went to was like very corporate and stuff and whatnot. But I don't know. I thought we should, talk about jobs as part of this too, because that was a very major turning point in
Hmm.
my life. And it allowed me to kind of get to where I am today by
Oh, for
actually,
sure.
um, taking that leap.
Hmm.
And yeah, so I'm proud of myself. And I think that more people should recognize their value and their
Hmm.
worth and the experience they have and stuff that they've put into
But also being
go further.
realistic within it, because I think when you made the decision to leave your job, you were looking at a whole bunch of things. You were looking at the like weighing the pros and cons of the company culture, which you loved,
Yeah,
the commute, which wasn't too bad.
it was not bad.
But then also looking at what is it called? Like the market value of the position that you were
Yeah.
at. You were getting paid under that.
Hmm.
Um, and not that the next job that you got was even paying
No, it
paying
wasn't.
that, but it was
But yeah, it was
definitely
definitely better.
closer. You definitely, because I know you had three different jobs, like major jobs, like career jobs in the span of like a year and a half.
Yeah.
Like you went from the the like e-commerce light up store to like another place to
Hmm.
another place within a year and a half.
Yeah.
But every time you made the decision to move, you weren't moving laterally, you were moving up.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big thing to take into consideration when changing jobs is, are you leaving just because you're not happy with the culture, which
Hmm.
is fine?
Yeah.
Or are you leaving because you're not being respected at your, in your position, which is fine? Or are you leaving because you're actually making like money moves?
Yeah.
You're going up. And I know that you've been hard on yourself a little bit about like, oh, I've only been,
I know. I get really insecure about that.
yeah, yeah. And I always try to remind you, no, 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 like you're making, you're climbing that ladder, just not at the same job, but in
Hmm.
like a career standpoint, you're climbing that ladder. Um, but yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So don't be afraid to move jobs if it's for the right reason.
yeah, yeah. But really, think about it. Don't just
Yeah.
like, although for me, now I literally just said think about it, and then I'm about to talk about my career
Oh yeah,
change
that's
that I
true.
did. So this is back in 2017, beginning of 2017. I had a job interview with this company that is a brilliant idea.
I
It
know.
helps people that have uh, have like lost someone with their estate sale. So instead of having that horrible yard sale where you have to put all your family stuff out on the lawn and say come buy this because we
Hmm.
have this house full of stuff that this person just died and we have to get rid of it, this company comes over and takes all this stuff and puts it online and there's an auction and all this stuff. Great idea. I had an interview with them and I got the job. And at that time, I had just been like talking to my uncle, who I had
Hmm.
gotten really close with after. I mean, we were always close, but I feel like we had gotten closer after the passing of my
Yeah,
grandmother
for
and
sure.
like through that. Um, who said just in passing, like, wow, if you were like a real estate agent and you like knew all these people, like just think about, how great that would be. And just that clicked. And literally the next day, I had signed up for classes at
Yeah.
the local college to get my real estate license. So that was a huge, you know, huge step and just something
Mhm.
that I did on the spur of the moment. Like, I mean, and that was I can't even talk, an investment. I mean, it's not, I mean, it was a community college, so it's not,
It's not
tens of thousands
crazy
of
expensive,
dollars.
but
But
it's
I mean, it's
still.
it was I think total $1,200
Mhm.
for textbooks and everything, like, which is great. But
I think
but
anyone
then plus
making some
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
change is like, whoa,
Right, right, right.
okay,
But
but
that, I mean, that
it's cool.
has been a huge, huge change in my life. Huge.
Yeah,
Especially in the last, year,
I was about to say,
year and a half.
yeah,
But yeah, so like going through all the schooling of that and then getting my license and then all of the connections that I've made and the progress that I've made in the industry. That's so crazy. So that one was spur of the moment.
Mhm.
But it's not something that I hadn't thought
Yeah.
about.
And it's also not something anyone was surprised about.
Right, which was kind of
Everyone was
seemed
like,
funny to
yeah.
me. Everyone's like, "Oh yeah, no, that totally makes sense." And I'm like, "I'm sorry, like,
yeah. That's so funny. Yeah, no.
so good jobs." And then it's funny because all of my other jobs that I've had have just been kind of like one-offs, except for working at Six Flags. That was like I mean, it was still kind of a one-off because it only lasted 2 seasons, but everything else was just kind of, little gigs here or customer service stuff here, there, and just, little things. This was a huge career change that I just made.
It's like a whole new
overnight.
path.
Yeah.
There's always something I wanted you to try and do, like whether it was a full career change or just something like, on the side or something. But I always knew that you've always been surrounded by it in your family, and you have the personality and the work ethic for it. So I was so supportive of like
you
wanted to do. I'm like, yeah, dude, do it. So I knew people who were realtors, and they loved it. So like it wasn't an unproven thing. So it's pretty cool.
All right, so the next one I have is Costa Rica. And then I just put /trips because I think we can weasel some other stuff in. But Costa Rica was a huge decision because it wasn't necessarily spur of the moment, but I think we had maybe like a month and a half. But like the decision to go, it was like, we need to know now.
Yeah, I can remember when you called me.
Yeah.
You're like, hey, can you talk for a minute? Like you texted me, like, can you talk for a minute? And I thought it was like bad because whenever you texted, I'm like, like something's wrong, cadet's hurt or something. Like, and then I go outside. I'm at work and I go outside and I call you and you go, so hey, you want to go to Costa Rica?
So we have an amazing friend that has an aunt that owns a property out there, and she was amazing enough to invite us on a trip.
Yeah.
And it wasn't, I mean, to me, people, plan, especially like trips abroad, they plan them a year in advance or at least a few months, 6 months, 3 months in advance. I mean, obviously, like the more money you have, the less time you need to plan. But I mean, we're regular people struggling in LA. There's nothing too extravagant about our lives right now.
Pick up and go to Costa Rica.
Right. So I mean, it was, to me, our decision making in whether or not we were going to go was, this is a once in a lifetime thing. Like, I mean, we could go to Costa Rica again, and figure out, where to go and where to
stay somewhere.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was I mean, the best scenario that we could have ever asked for, and going with an amazing group of people.
Yeah.
Which
we're lucky.
Made like a huge difference. Yeah. But it was something that it was like, take the day to think about it, but we have to book our plane tickets like now.
So funny. And
if we didn't want to go, like, obviously like letting the other people know, or, we can't go so that they can invite someone else, So it was, something that we needed to do right away. And it was, I think, one of the best decisions we've ever made.
Yeah. Even though we put with like them and everything too, like it was great.
And it was our first trip, like major trip together. I mean, like we'd been on like small road trips
but we didn't have a honeymoon.
Oh yeah. Well, we still have yet.
We still have
yet to have a honeymoon.
So like that was, I mean, obviously didn't make up for it, but that was like
that trip.
Married like just a year and a half before or something at that point. And would it be, well, I mean, by the time we went to Costa Rica, it was different, but yeah. And so, yeah, it was pretty major. Like, I don't know. Like it was
and
crazy.
It was the thing that like we couldn't really afford it.
Stressful.
That was the thing, is that we couldn't pay cash. Like I couldn't just put it on my debit card and pay for the trip. It was something that we were like, I have a credit card that we could put this trip on. And I am not advocating for you to put yourself into debt to go on extravagant vacations. But I mean, I think really the only thing we put on the credit card was the flights. But still, That
Yeah.
was.
But in the end, we got all. I think we covered all of it.
Oh
right?
yeah.
We
I
came
mean,
out on
now
top.
it's covered. Yeah, now it's covered. But I'm just saying that
Yeah.
like the decision to do that was not an easy one, but it was one that we made very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And then I feel like we do that with a lot of our trips.
Yeah.
That it's kind of like,
yes.
oh, I have this weekend off. Let's go to Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
Or, oh, I have this weekend off. Let's go to Sacramento.
More like this coming weekend, we're seeing Weezer in Vegas.
That was I think this is probably the most like spur of the moment, like big thing that we've done lately.
It definitely was. Yeah. Like, I think that was like, we made that decision less than like a week ago, and it's already coming up this coming Friday. And so I'm actually kind of proud of that one.
I'm proud of that one too, because that's on my bucket list. So
yeah, so I'm happy. But again, everything lined up like perfectly. We have a place to stay when we go out there, so the finances ended up making sense. It wasn't like an impossible trip. So as long as you can make it work, don't be afraid to go after those last minute things.
So one of my favorite, and we'll probably say this again when we talk about like big spending stuff on a podcast when we ever do that. But one of my favorite things that I've heard is you can always make up money. Like you can always get your money back.
Mm-hmm.
You can always make more money. You cannot make more time.
Exactly.
So it's like, what if the one time we were in Costa Rica was the one time we will ever be in Costa Rica? And what if this is our last chance and only time to see Weezer?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It's
don't want to like live too hard in the YOLO land, but like
there's certain things that
there's some things that you need to,
especially like things like this in Costa Rica, you kind of feel it in your gut, like, oh, but we should go. Like you do feel that.
I think that's really big. That's really big. Is that like you feel it that, oh, this is something you should do, not something that I want to do, but this is something I should do.
Yeah,
like I should move in with you. I should change my job. We should go on this once in a lifetime vacation. I should move to Sacramento to be with my dying grandma.
Oh, hey, good segue.
Oh, snap. Yeah. So that's the next one.
Yeah.
And I didn't really put this one in for me because to me, this was a no-brainer.
Yeah, we kind of talked about this a couple episodes ago.
So if you missed that episode about like the biggest, what was it?
Like impactful moments?
Yeah, most impactful moments.
2 episodes ago.
One of them for me was my grandmother getting cancer. And when I found out she only had a very short time to live, my gut and honest reaction was, okay, I'm moving back. And to me, this isn't like a big one for me on this list. I put this on the list for you.
Yeah. I guess, yeah, that's true. We didn't really talk about my thought process last time in doing this. So when you told me about all this and you said, like, I think I need to go back, like I should go back and be with her, I immediately wanted to be there with you. I don't know. Something like, I forget. I feel like if we had talked about this closer to the time, I could pinpoint exactly what went through my head. But there was something that went through my head that like reminded me that other people have been not less supportive. I don't know, like something about it like cautioned me against like trying to like make it work long distance. Like she'll be there with them. Like almost immediately, like in my head, I was like, no, I should go with you. I should try and make this work. It wasn't a done deal because I still have to talk to work, but I mean, it wasn't like there was much of an argument to be made. Like this is a major thing happening in your family, and I am married to you, therefore they are my family. So I had confidence that work would understand. And when I took my boss aside and asked him, he was probably quicker than me to agree. You know what I mean? Like he was like, yeah, go ahead. We can make it work. I was like, okay.
Which I think, to circle back, made it even like that just shows the familial aspect of that job, the original job that you left. So
sucks. Yeah, that was hard because I was like, great. Now they're letting me like work remotely for like.
Well, you waited a long time after that too.
Yeah, that's true.
So
it was something I prepared them for, which was nice, and I worked with their IT guy to get me all set up.
And I left before you did, so you had an extra week.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it was. I don't even know. Like, it was a crazy It was kind of crazy.
But literally, the way I remember it is the whole conversation went from me talking to my mother and me saying, I'm coming home, hanging up the phone, and by the time we got off the couch, it was already decided.
Yeah, no, it
Like,
was that. I mean,
it wasn't like a dinner conversation. It wasn't like,
we didn't even
let's sleep on it. It was like, this
No.
is what's happening.
I just think like in my head, so many things went through my brain so fast. Like I had to like make a billion calculations just to be like, because my gut told me, again, this goes back to like, listening to your gut. My gut told me to go with you, but I was like, okay, like let's make sure like this is right. Like this is her family. I don't know. Like, and then I just like examples pop in my head of like people who like weren't there for their significant others, just like on a, not even like love level, just like on a basic level. I'm like, that's harder. Like that's like, I don't even know why they thought that was worth it. Like, go with them. It's fine. Like, we'll make it work. If I couldn't keep my job, great. We like gave up the apartment. Yeah. We could just, I mean, technically we could have stayed in Sacramento longer.
Right,
like there was, I think it was a very low risk when you really broke it down, but not to diminish it.
No, because it was
an easy decision.
No. It was a huge decision to make
because we had to leave LA, which I had been home for so long.
You had a career here, and I was, just coming down from, being a director and a choreographer and, an actor and like doing all these things that we left.
Yeah, it was like, a lot to drop at once.
Yeah, we gave up an amazing apartment. We're not bitter about that at all.
No, we've given up a couple amazing apartments.
I know. We're never leaving here.
I know. I'm going to be sad. Well, when we get a house, we will. Yeah. But I'm going to look back on this place.
We've said that like 4 times now, though. But like, this is going to be the last one. Actually, no, this is 3. This is 3. So the 3rd time's a charm.
I know. That's true. Let's hope that's going to happen. But yeah, no, it was major, more in like what we left behind. But I would never leave your side.
Aww.
Because I love you.
That's so sweet. And then I wrote down on here, like, also like moving back. Not that moving back was a decision, but we had decided to live in a studio. And that was also mildly spur of the moment. Not spur of the moment, but like we didn't really think it through.
Well, we had a couple of plans. We were going to try and get a house with like rent a house.
That's true.
Rent a house with some friends, but it fell through. Like it just, we couldn't all get on the same page. It was fine. It was complicated. But
then it was like, we're getting a studio, 500 square feet.
We thought we would save money, but we didn't really save much money.
That's the thing that I don't understand. And
I don't know.
You were making more than what you had previously been making.
Yes.
And we were paying less than what we had been previously paying. And somehow we ended up with less money.
Maybe we just like ate out too
much. No, so I am fully of the what's it called? Like the belief, I guess, that like what you're putting out there is what you're getting back. Right. So we were living in this like really gross, I hated it.
No,
it was gross. Like tiny little apartment, like tiny. So we weren't saving money. We weren't really happy. We weren't living the life that we wanted to be living.
Yeah.
So here we're paying almost double what we were paying there.
Probably, yeah.
Close, very close to. Wow. But we're not living like extravagantly, you know what I mean? But like we're doing better.
Yeah, it's weird.
And you are making more money, and I'm making more money. Like it's just this like
definitely way happier.
We're happier. Yeah, I don't know, but it's I forget what it is. It's like it's the living the life you want type thing.
Yeah.
Where it's like you put it out there and then you get it back. So we were putting out there this like negative, and so we were getting back negative.
Live for the life you want, not for the life you have. Yeah, it works for jobs and dressing.
Yep. I don't know, but it was just this like situation, and we had our one dog
at the time. Until we decided to get another dog during that time.
Well, no, we did not decide to get another dog. You had, no. You had decided, not decided, but you had this thought that Cadet needed a friend.
Yeah.
And we were living in the 500 square foot studio apartment.
Mm-hmm.
And I just could not imagine another dog living there. Like, and honestly, I couldn't imagine loving another animal. Like,
Mm-hmm.
Cadet was my baby
It's your
and
son.
is my baby, my firstborn.
But
And I just couldn't imagine, like, I had said no to you a whole bunch of times that, like, we're not going to get Cadet a friend.
look, you can't stop fate. And so one night, and again, we're in our studio apartment. My cousin Joseph was staying with us. So imagine that.
So we were on our bed. He had like a blow up,
On the
like
edge of
tiny
the bed.
twin blow up on the floor.
It was
And then
awesome.
the dog would like sleep with him because it was like this like tiny little space. And he's like, oh.
Cadet always sleeps with like guests.
Yeah,
Like, he doesn't,
he has to make them
which is
feel
great.
welcome.
But so we have that happening. And one night, I think it was like a night or two before he left, we went out to dinner at our favorite pizza place,
What?
786 degrees. And we, on the way back, we're on Coldwater Canyon, and we're driving down. We see this like white little fluff ball walking down the middle of the road.
Not walking. She was running.
She was running. Well, running for her is walking for every other dog. And you know, like in the months before, whenever I'd been going to work, there have been a couple incidences where I've seen dogs on the street. And I've tried to help a couple, but sometimes I like didn't get a chance to. And I was like, no,
but they even brought a dog into your work.
Yes.
And you were like, can we keep him? I was like, no.
I know. I
Flat
wanted
out,
to.
no.
He was so cute. But yeah, and so like there were instances where I was like, no, next time like we have to pull over if we see a stray dog who's obviously stray. You know, sometimes people have dogs off leash and like, are they? But they are. They're good. And so this time we both like, was I driving? No, you were driving.
I was driving.
So you had the wherewithal to be like, all right, let's pull over. And I got out immediately.
So I honestly, I have seen dogs like on the sidewalk and stuff and like wanted to pull over and just like kept driving. And like that makes me feel so bad. But this dog was in the middle of the street and I almost hit her.
Yeah.
And that was my thing, is that like, I'm a very good driver. And if I almost hit her,
this is a problem.
I'm like, that's a big problem. So I love that I pulled over and without even saying anything, Andrew was like out of the car.
Yeah, I wanted to help this doggy out. And so we finally, like, she got away from me, because you pointed out, you know, and it depends on like also like where she came from. Like, she was kind of scared of me. It was like a big guy coming at her. So you got out and got like surrounded her and finally
left Joseph in the backseat of the car.
What the fuck is happening? Like, what? Like, don't worry.
People just like bailed.
And so we finally like cornered her and brought her into the car, and
then you started driving.
I did, because you're like, I'll hold her.
I held her because she
probably felt
scared.
Yeah, she probably felt safer.
Scared. She was shaking. She didn't have a collar on, and I was also looking up, you know, different places to take her. You know, because it was like 9 or 10 at night. It was dark.
Yeah. And you messaged one of our friends, right? And they finally gave you like a
they said, you know, this place will probably be open, or you could take them even further. That would be open. Which I feel like I don't know, whatever. So the closest place that we took her was the East Valley Animal Hospital. Animal shelter, sure. But she didn't have a collar. They scanned her to see if she was chipped, and I was kind of hoping that she was chipped so that she could go back to her family. And when we picked her up, we kind of walked the neighborhood a little bit just to see, like, is there a gate that's open to see? But there was all of the entire street had those what is it, like the brick fences?
Yeah.
So there was like no way to get in or out. So it's like she was far and she was dirty.
She was very dirty. And just it's been here. She just as background on her, like, she wasn't gonna last much longer than that. If she was already or like she hadn't been out that long, she would not last that long on the street. Meaning that she was probably dirty wherever she was before. Yeah. So there's just so many red flags. I
don't think she could have stayed like a night. Like she might have gotten out earlier that day.
Maybe.
Was my thing. So we took her to the animal shelter. And my thought was we'd take her and she would get scanned and then we could take her home.
Cameo.
To there's midshipman for
So this is
those
her.
of you on YouTube. Cadet's jealous now.
Shout out, you buddy.
But
Yeah.
so I thought we would that we would have to take her home and foster her until we could.
Yeah.
That was my thought. And then they said, no, they keep her. And I was like, okay, good. Because I was really worried about Cadet. I was thinking, how is he going to take it? Like, what if she has, rabies or
Something,
a
fleas,
bug
even, just
or
anything.
yeah. And I was like, I don't want to bring another dog into the home. And I just, period, didn't want to bring another dog into the home. So at that time, they said, you can put in your first rights if you want to come back and get her in 4 days. And we were like, no. Like, thank you, we'll check up on her and stuff. They gave her like all of her information, her, temporary ID number and everything. So then we got home and Joseph was like, you're going to get that dog.
Yeah, he was like calling it. He's like, don't even.
Don't play like that dog is your dog. Like, don't.
Well, because now you're skipping. Like, I
skipped
think
the car ride.
You fell in love with her a little bit on that car ride. She's the sweetest, stinkiest, like cutest dog in the world. Just nothing but give kisses and wants love. She's the polar opposite of Cadet.
That's true.
In that she actually loves love. He's he's like a cat.
Yeah,
we would say.
Yeah.
But yeah, and so on that car ride, I think that kind of started
yeah.
switching you a little bit.
It was. I think
just holding her felt right.
My phantom maternal instinct kicked in.
Yeah.
Like every once in a while. Yeah. Every once in a while I have it, and I was holding her, and I literally said out loud, like, I want to keep her. Like I didn't like.
That's right.
And I think it was just that like I want to protect her type. Yeah. Like she was this like little tiny helpless. She was shaking. She was scared.
She's very scared.
I wanted to,
this
but
derpy then little
right. So, but then when they were like, "Do you want to put in your first rights?" I was like, "No." So,
because practically it didn't make sense.
No, we were living in a
should not have
tiny apartment. Like we didn't pay. I didn't want to have to pay a deposit for another dog. I didn't want to have to feed another dog. At that time, we were making Cadet's food. Like. Yeah. Just
groom another dog.
Yeah. Dude.
It never gets easier. But yeah.
So the next day I went to work and I kept looking because they put her up online to see, to say, hey, does anyone recognize this dog, found dog or whatever. And then I think it was that night that we went in and we put in our first rights for her. So first rights are if you find a dog or an animal, and you take them into a shelter, the shelter has to hold them. Yeah. Which ended up being great because she got a bath, she got checked out by a vet, and so then we knew everything that was wrong with her. But when you're putting your first rights, that's saying like I have above anyone else the right to own the dog or own the animal before anyone else, as long as I get there before a certain time. Yeah, like you have like a window. Before, you have one tiny window on the day that her adoption day. Yeah. But yeah, so we had decided like, okay, no, let's go put in our first rights. We really want her. But the whole time I remember thinking, I hope her family comes and gets her. Yeah. Because I'm thinking of Cadet and thinking if I lose my dog, I'm going to be at every shelter every single day, making all the calls. But also, he's never without his collar and he's microchipped and I update his picture every year. Like, that's me as a mom. Like,
not to say they didn't care about her, not to
it's
say
just
that
a different level.
They did, but it was like,
it's a different level. Yeah. So I was kind of hoping that she would find her family if she had a family looking for her. But they didn't.
Ultimately, 4 days went by and
we went to go get her.
Yeah.
And that's a story in itself.
Yeah, and it was she almost went to a family that like would not have been able to handle
her. My gosh.
There was people technically lined in front of us. Of course, we were there during
so we had
hour, so even if
we had first rights, so we were safe. But there was a couple, like 2 people in front of us that had seen her online that wanted her. And, they had my ID in their first rights thing, so they saw me like 2 people behind, and so she said, like, "I'm sorry, they have first rights, but if they end up not taking her today,
Yeah,
you're welcome."
those people would have
But
got
then they also showed her other dogs, which was good because she ended up getting another dog because we picked up Midshipman. But it turns out that Midshipman had a very, very, very bad ear infection.
Yes.
Like her ear on the inner ear was black
It was
and
gross.
brown and just like all out of the ear. Like the infection, like normally when you get an ear infection, it's like on your inner ear, like inside. This like was infected in and then on her whole flap, like down. She had really bad teeth and all this stuff.
Again, if she was only out for a night, that doesn't just happen in a day.
Right.
So just saying.
But that couple that wanted Midshipman originally ended up getting another dog, which is great. But the other dog has very minor skin condition that she just needed antibiotics for.
Yeah.
And that woman threw a fit over paying for the antibiotics. And I'm like, you wanted this dog that needed like potential extractions of her teeth. She has a gimp leg. She has 2 bad knees that potentially are a surgery of $5,000 each. She had the ear infection. Like really, like you wanted this dog, but you don't want to pay $20 for antibiotics for this one tiny skin condition, like that would go away.
Yeah,
it was. Yeah, so I'm just very glad that we got her.
Think about the fun parts of having a dog.
That's true. She wanted this like tiny little miniature poodle.
She wants a purse dog or whatever.
Yeah. And Midshipman is not a purse dog.
Oh my goodness.
I've tried.
But yeah, and so that was a big one because this should have happened, but we couldn't.
Right.
We couldn't.
That one just kind of fell in our lap. What happened?
When you fall in love, you fall in love.
After talking about this, I have a takeaway, but what is your takeaway from all of our big decisions that not all, but at least the ones that we've talked about, and these were the main ones that we could think of, but the big decisions that we've had in our lives?
I think that we're always very good at being on the same page. Like know, I don't know. Like I guess if I had been the one who called you and asked about she's drinking my beer if you're not watching, asked about Costa Rica, I could anticipate that you would probably have said yes, and probably under the umbrella of like we should go. Like I would have probably known, and the only reason, I mean, everyone should always run things by their significant other, but the only reason why I do isn't because I don't know what you're going to say. I just want us to be always on the same page.
It's like a respect and
and so I think that we're pretty good at being on the same wavelength.
I like that. I didn't even think about that. That was not.
All these decisions pretty much happen like pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And
so that was my takeaway. My takeaway is that, at least for us in our relationship, that our major decisions, and to me, the best things that happen to us, are things that we just go with our gut. And it's not that we go with our gut after like mulling it over after a couple weeks or thinking about it for a long time. It's when we jump in and we go with our gut. That's when the best things
in
our life happen.
That's also true. Yeah.
Oh, I knew you were going to do that.
That's that makes sense with all of them. Sorry, I'm looking them over again.
Because I think every single one of these decisions that we've made have happened very quickly.
Yeah. Definitely. Every single one.
And I mean, our decision to get together happened pretty quickly. And our decision to verbalize our love for each other happened very quickly. I don't know about like getting married. I think that one was a long one. And as I said before, we'll do like an episode on that. Like that'll happen quickly. Or that didn't happen quickly.
It's an interesting one because there's a couple of things that I have to say.
Things happen quickly, but I don't know. We'll talk about it later.
What a teaser.
Maybe that should be our next episode since we just talked about it so much.
It'll be on everyone's mind.
But yeah, so that's my takeaway is that we go with our gut and the things that we do quickly and the things that we just make the decision on.
Yeah.
Because I didn't really put anything here. These are all things that we made the decision to do.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing really on here that we have like made the decision not to do, but I'm sure if we went back and thought about it, the things that we quickly made the decision not to do were probably the right decision.
Yeah, I was gonna say when you um, yeah. So
Yeah.
there you go. I have nothing else to add. So
Yeah, that was great.
awesome. How do you feel?
Like I want another beer.
Oh, okay.
It was fun to explore and go back and
It is fun. We need to start doing more things like this. Start exploring our past more.
uh-oh.
Do we want to check in with our week?
We can.
It's a little quickie. I know we spent so much time talking about this. It almost feels like a letdown going over the week.
I know.
We didn't discuss this ahead of time, so
I know.
I'm by the seat of our pants here. But going back to what I said at the beginning, so we're full circle.
Yes.
We did make a concerted effort to
Keep up with the house.
keep up with the house and do hard things during the
Mhm.
week, like do our laundry again,
Yep.
like on Thursday. It's a huge
So
thing.
there was nothing that we had to do for the house. We didn't have to do any meal prep. We didn't have to clean anything. Like there was nothing that needed to be done. Like just as like a personal day-to-day thing this weekend.
Which is nice because when you're working, you have like an open house or something during the week. I always feel kind of guilty if there's something that needs to be cleaned, but I know I have stuff I want to do and stuff over the weekend that I can't do during the week. And this weekend I didn't feel like any of that.
Good.
And today we actually had a day.
We had a full fun day. And yesterday you got a lot of stuff done that you wanted to do yourself.
Yeah.
It wasn't, I mean, you did clean the stove, but let's be honest, you're the one that fucked up the stove. So.
Well, yeah, that's true. But yeah, so I think that's helpful, and I want to continue doing that.
Yeah.
I know this week will be interesting because we're going to Vegas on Friday. So
that's true. And then you did launch your website.
Oh yeah, so I'll plug that.
Yeah.
So I have a little website. It's like a blog. If anyone goes to, don't expect anything big. It's all very text-based and basic, but it's just curated marketing advice for people who are, either in small businesses or trying to be consultants themselves for digital marketing. And ultimately, my goal is to consult on digital marketing for small businesses and any size business, really, but small business seems to be a niche for me. So yeah, and so I've started a website and I'm going to have a newsletter. So go there. It's contentcomplete.blog. So www.contentcomplete.blog and sign up for a newsletter. You can also email me at andrew@contentcomplete.blog. It'll be fun.
Awesome.
I think it'll be fun.
No, it's great.
And then, awesome. Yeah, so that was something I've been working on. I have more posts for it coming down the way. So that'll be exciting. Oh, what'd you just write down there? Was that a sad face?
I did a sad face because I didn't go to the gym this week.
No, I'm sorry.
It's okay. That's my fault. I'm struggling. But another thing that we talked about in the last episode was that your goal was to get for the month of April. Sorry. Your goal for the month of April is to get another new client in your consulting business. And I didn't have a goal because I didn't know where my goal should be. I didn't know if it should be a real estate goal or an acting entertainment goal or what. So after we got off air, I believe it was, I had decided that my goal was to find my purpose.
Oh, yes, that's right.
So, I mean, it doesn't have to be my purpose in life. Obviously, I might find that when I'm 50 or whatever. Mm-hmm. But at least, for right now, what do I feel is my, my number one thing. So that's my goal for this month. It's very broad and kind of abstract, but I wanted to update you guys on that because I said that I would.
Yeah. So there you go.
Do you have anything big coming up this week minus our trip?
Yeah, just going to see Weezer, baby.
Woo!
That's literally it. I mean, we're going to Las Vegas and seeing family and stuff too while we're there and friends. So I don't know. Everything else is just going to be prepping for that. And
I can't really think of anything major that needs to be
done. And the puppies get to go with us.
They do. I'm so excited.
But yeah, so that's about it.
Yeah.
You feeling good?
I'm feeling good. This is a long episode.
It is. So let's end it now so we can drink more.
Woo!
Yeah, gavel. Meeting adjourned. I'm doing on this. All right, everyone, get shit done.
Bye. You could have used my empty beer bottle.
Oh, I should have.